it's Jordan and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing mini movie reviews for all the movies that I've seen for the second third of the year, so months April through August. April, May, June, July. May through August. I did do a video covering the first 4 months of the year, January through April, and all the movies that I saw in theaters then if you'd like to check it out. But let's go ahead and get into the first on my list. So this is the third and final installment in the Captain America trilogy, which is probably one of my more favorite trilogies, series of Marvel. This was a really, really great installment. It had this ongoing feud between the Avengers. Some of them were more for or against this certain referendum that's being passed. And because of that, it's more like a mini Avengers, like an Avengers 2.5. There are so many cast members, so many superheroes showed up in this, and it was freaking amazing. I loved seeing all the different people with the different powers all working together and all like fighting each other and battling. It was so cool and I loved it so much. Captain America and Iron Man are my two like favorite Avengers, I think. Iron Man's my #1 favorite. So the scenes when they were beating on Iron Man and giving him a hard time and like pounding him into the dirt was very emotional for me. I wasn't prepared to feel so upset about that. I am a huge fan of the Marvel movies. I'm a huge fan of superhero movies in general, but Marvel is my favorite. I can't wait to see what's coming next. I'm not as excited for Doctor Strange, which comes out this year. So next year when we get the next installment in these guys' storylines, I'm really excited to see where they go from here. I loved it. I thought it was great. I totally give it a 5 out of 5 stars. Probably my second favorite superhero franchise. I love the X-Men movies. I just love people with superpowers so much, and I so badly wish that I could be a person with a superpower. This one was really interesting because it fell into the 1980s, and so it took place after the story arc with the 1960s cast and before the story arc with the original X-Men trilogy cast. We got some characters from the newer installments and then the original installments all like interweaving and working together. It was so good. I'm interested to still see how certain characters come to be on certain sides of the disagreement in the original trilogy, because we still have characters who aren't with Professor X or with Magneto yet. They're kind of still on the other side, and I'm just curious to see how those lines get divided and how that comes to be. I did think that the antagonist villain in the story was not my favorite. I did really like this installment to the overarching storyline. It filled in a nice gap between the two series. It's nice to see kind of what happens in between. Why am I doing this with my hands? I'd probably give this one like a 4 out of 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed this one too. Tarzan was one of my favorite movies as a child, so I was really interested to see how Disney was going to do this live action remake. It was more of like a continuation of the story. It was what happens after the cartoon ends, which is really interesting. Alexander Skarsgård was in this, and he is phenomenal. He did a really great job as Tarzan. He was trying to be this refined, proper Englishman, but you could tell that he had this still like wild ape-like essence. CGI was amazing in this movie. Just like with the Jungle Book, the CGI was incredible. The apes looked so real. I really liked the dynamic between Tarzan and Jane. Seeing Margot Robbie play Jane and then seeing her play Harley Quinn was incredible. She's a fantastic actress. I think I liked this one better than the Jungle Book, and I'm only comparing them because they were both live action movies that came out this year, and they both focused really heavily on like nature, CGI and such. Although the Jungle Book was more like impressive because there's like no humans except for Mowgli in that movie. I liked this one better. It was a bit more mature. It didn't feel as juvenile as the Jungle Book, plus Alexander Skarsgård's in it. There were no songs though in this one. There were no like hints or nods to the original music of Tarzan. I'm trying to think if there's any Phil Collins in this movie. The Jungle Book still had the bare necessities and I Want to Be Like You incorporated into it, which was really nice to see, but this one didn't have any Phil Collins. I'm just not realizing that. What the heck? I think I'd give this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I loved Finding Dory. It was so sad and heartbreaking. I felt so bad for Dory, and it was just so endearing. It just kills me that Disney makes these animated, silly, goofy movies with like these really deep emotional things that now, as an adult watching them, I get that out of it as well. You're talking about mental health of a fish and how important it is to love and accept yourself and be okay with being different. It was just so wonderfully integrated in there. Plus the humor was on point in this. I love Ellen DeGeneres. I loved all the new side characters. Destiny, the nearsighted shark, was my favorite new character. Oh, what is the beluga whale's name? I liked them in their interaction together. Really enjoyed this movie, and I knew I would going into it because I was such a huge fan of Finding Nemo. It was my favorite movie for years. Dory was my favorite character, so I knew I was gonna like this movie, and it did not disappoint me. This kind of piggybacks right off of the original trilogy with Matt Damon, so it kind of like leaves out the information from the Bourne Legacy with Jeremy Renner. It was exactly what I wanted from a Bourne movie. There was incredible, insane car chases. There were incredible, insane stunts that no normal human should be able to survive. There was spies and lies and secrets and betrayal and ridiculous like technology and things. All the things that are what make the Bourne movies so enjoyable were, again, in this movie. We also see some characters from the original trilogy back in play. Some more plot holes from the original trilogy are being filled in, and we're learning even more about Bourne and about his past. It was really good. I really enjoyed this one. There were some really incredible, unbelievable stunts that happened where I was like, there's no way that you'd be able to survive that. But he's Jason Bourne, so of course he survives it because that is what Jason Bourne does. There is a sense of like unbelievability to it. That is like the essence of the Bourne movies. You do have to definitely see the original trilogy to see this. I mean, it's a direct continuation of the original trilogy. It was like a 4 out of 5 stars probably. I really enjoyed it. I don't have the best track record with DC movies. This looked really cool. It's a group of villains trying to work together. I mean, that sounds like the recipe for a fantastic movie. I went into it with like lower expectations. When I left the theater, I was like, yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that. As that week continued, the more I sat with it and the more I thought about it, the more I really came to enjoy the movie. I do think that there were some things about it that weren't that great. Like, for example, we spent a lot of time on the backstory of one of the characters, and the other character's backstories got like 5 to 10 seconds of an explanation. There's one character in particular, Boomerang, who I felt like was the stupidest character in that movie. Like, what was his point? He can throw a boomerang, okay? Is that really like a great skill set? Like, are you really helpful to these missions if you can throw a boomerang? He's a nemesis of Flash, so I don't know if because they're going to have Flash in the Justice League movie, they need to introduce Boomerang. I don't know, but I wasn't really a fan of him. The Enchantress character was like the weirdest villain. It came out of nowhere. It wasn't really well explained. Her backstory wasn't really well explained. She was just a villain to be a villain, you know? She's one of those kinds of characters. I loved Harley Quinn. I thought she was incredible. She was so funny, and she is twisted. Supposed to get a Harley Quinn movie. I want to know more about her. I don't think we got a very clear backstory of her, of how she became Harley Quinn. I just felt like she was a really poorly developed character, but Margot Robbie did a bomb job of portraying her. Which brings me to the Joker. I think this is why it was kind of muddled. I read somewhere that a lot more was filmed with the Joker than what was shown in the movie, and so I'm wondering if some of Harley Quinn's backstory was sacrificed because of this. Cut out some Jared Leto scenes, they got rid of Harley Quinn's backstory too. I don't really know. I did not like Jared Leto as the Joker. He was weird and like mob bossy, kind of cartoonish, like a caricature of the Joker. That's a really good word, Jordan. I liked when Heath Ledger played the Joker, and it was just like really raw and gritty. It was twisted because of X, Y, and Z. Like, they tell you what happened to him and his family and why he was like that. I don't really remember the Joker in Suicide Squad having that backstory. He had no eyebrows. I don't know if that really means anything. He was just like so pristine too. I liked the grungy dirtiness of Heath Ledger's Joker. That was like the worst part of the movie in my opinion. I also didn't like that he didn't have the scars on his face. Part of what makes the Joker, but he just had a tattoo and did this. I do remember reading somewhere that this movie was originally pretty dark and gritty, and then they refilmed some scenes to add some more humor to it. And while I loved the humor side of it, I thought the characters really bounced off each other really well. Tried to take the criticism from Batman vs. Superman and rectify it with the humor and stuff, but it was already on top of the weird grittiness. It was a weird combination. I really enjoyed the film overall, but there were just some parts of it that I didn't really jive with. I'm interested to see how the next installment is going to be portrayed. I'd give this maybe a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I did really enjoy it, but there were just some things that weren't my favorite. So those are all the movies that I saw this summer between May and August. I would love to know if you've also seen these movies, what you thought of them in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, I will see you very soon. Bye!